Uganda, the climate change hazards that I can identify, one is increased incidence of droughts, and these are usually prolonged droughts. The droughts have become more frequent and longer. Number two, I can refer to the increased incidence of floods in different areas, and this is due to prolonged rainfalls, which have, of the past 10 years, become very frequent. And so when the rains are prolonged, then you have areas flooding. Also, the rains have become unpredictable. The onset of the rains is really unpredictable. They can come earlier or they are delayed. Also, the increase in temperature has been an issue that has been mentioned by most of the people in the communities, and they say that the sun has become hotter, and therefore they cannot till the land, and it affects their planting seasons. The effects are really diverse. Drought has affected water resources, which have been declining in the rivers and the lakes. So people are complaining that the rivers are drying up, and this is because of the prolonged droughts, and the lake levels are really dropping. Also, the droughts affect the crops. If someone has already planted and the crops are destroyed by the drought and there's no rainfall, so it becomes a poor yield at the end of the day. Also, I already mentioned that when the sun is too much, the ground is too hard to till, so they have to wait for the rains, which are also been unpredictable. Other incidences of malaria in the highlands, which has not been the case. I think this is because of the increase in temperatures, the warming, so the highlands have warmed up, and there's an increased incidence in the highlands, which was not the case before. There's also generally the effect on the crops, which is the main source of livelihood, and also the livestock. When the drought is too long, the livestock have no water to feed on, and they die, and the pasture is not enough. So all this affects the income of the household, and you find that the people become more poor, and they cannot afford school fees and other basic necessities in the house. In this trip to Mozambique, yesterday we visited Shongwene area, and we went to the multiplication, the World Vision Potato Multiplication Nursery, which was quite interesting, that they have fast growing yields which they distribute to the people, so this helps in addressing the drought mitigation. We also visited the GERANDO committee. This was also very interesting. They simulated for us when the floods come, how they deal with the information from the government and how they evacuate the place if they need to. So this was also interesting. Another interesting thing I found about this trip is on Monday we visited the INGC. This was I think this was the most interesting thing I found. The formation of the INGC by the government and how they operate and deal with disaster management is very interesting and practical.